All right, guys, I'm especially looking forward to this conversation. My guest this week is Peter Van Stralen. And yes, that rhymes with Van Halen. Peter is a successful entrepreneur and an employee engagement expert. Based on his experience of building successful businesses, he now travels the world speaking on the subject of how to attract, retain, and engage employees who care. Now, I know you guys would benefit from hearing his wisdom on that front, and we'll have him back in the future specifically to talk about that. But today, because it's my dang show, we're going to focus our conversation on his other official title, and that is of one of Family Adventurist, which is one of the best titles ever. In 2015, Peter and his wife and their 3 kids sold everything other than their Jeep and set off on an epic family road trip. Initially, it was around the United States and North America, and now they've included trips around the globe, and they are still going. Now, you can see their adventures on the YouTubes. Just search Epic Family Road Trip. You'll see, again, their adventures, but you'll see the ups and downs. You'll even see bears, all of that, all the experiences along the way. But you'll also see them connecting and caring for people all over the planet. It's powerful, fun stuff. You're going to want to check it out. Peter and his family are truly living the dream, think, do life, and they drive a Jeep. In fact, Peter's in his Jeep right now as we have this conversation. So they're family, right? So I had to have him on the show so we can talk about the experiences, what they've learned, and what we can learn from it too. It's going to be fun. Peter, welcome to Dream, Think, Do, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I
I'm
love it, man.
excited
I
to
will
be here.
say, this is our official in a Jeep Wrangler interview. I love it.
Hey, yeah.
Since I have one sitting in my garage right below my office here, your family, brother. I love
Nice.
it, man. We would wave at each other if we saw each
That's right.
other on the road. Right?
Absolutely. The Jeep Wave.
It is so much fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always love to get back to the genesis of an idea, all that. And obviously in 2015, the story is you kind of sold everything, got the Jeep, got a mobile home, kind of, or not a mobile home, like a VA or a RV, and you guys
Yeah.
headed out. But I would imagine that maybe the conversations started earlier. Like, how did this idea get started for you guys?
Yeah. So I was in the franchise business. I started when I
Yeah.
was 16. My brother was 17. We started mowing lawns like any kid would do. And, but we built it up to a decent sized company, a really good prototype. And then we learned about franchising. We began to expand and got to 200 and almost 250 locations across North
Wow.
America. And so we learned a lot in business. But one exercise we used to go through with every employee, every franchisee that came into our company, we'd sit down with them and we did this little program called Design Your Life. And really, it was a time of just articulating dreams, not just your corporate goals. Yes, we spent time focusing on corporate goals and ambitions, but behind that, before that,
Yeah.
what are your personal dreams for you and your family? And so, I mean, you can teach a course all day long, but every once in a while you got to do it yourself and sit through it.
Exactly.
And I sat through the class, and I'm the guy. If someone asked me what's the next 5 years in your business, I could rattle it off. But when they said, "Listen, focus on your personal goals here," it
Yeah.
was a new thing for me to do, and a little
Wow.
bit uncomfortable, But they gave me
Yeah.
the permission to go ahead and do that. And what I did was, when I was younger, I had done this road trip with some of my brothers, and we had went and saw the Grand Canyon, and we saw Yosemite and Jasper and some of the great national parks. And I thought, man, it would be awesome to be able to do this with my kids. But
Yeah.
at the time, I was so busy. So, I could barely take 3 days off consecutively. But what I did was I wrote down, okay, if you want me to do this crazy thing called dreaming about your life and designing your life,
Right.
I'll just go ahead and get wild here. And I'm going to go, I wrote down, I want to do 3 months, a 3-month road trip with my kids within 5 years. And
Wow.
I didn't know how that could possibly happen. How would my business have to look in such a way that I could take 3 months off, not
Right.
worrying about phone calls and emails? Anyway, I wrote it down, and the instructor said, take it on that sticky note and put it somewhere where you're going to see it on a regular basis, where you brush your teeth in the morning. And so we did that. And, I learned this thing about every time I did, I sat with my team and we went through our corporate goals. I'd go home, and as a family, we'd review our personal family goals. And so we dreamed about it. The 5 years came and went. Still, things hadn't fully lined up. It was about 8 years later when the stars aligned, and so, our business got acquired. I became a shareholder at the company that bought our company, and all of a sudden I had some free time and a little more change in my pocket, and so we took down that sticky note off the mirror, and we just went.
That's awesome. Well, and I love that too, because, it's one of those things where a lot of times, talking with a lot of different people for the podcast, you can have that big breakthrough. You can have, like something great happen with your business like that. And for some people that actually causes them to be more scared, right? Like they actually get smaller because now they feel like they've got to hoard what they've got. They got to keep what they've got. They got to protect what they got, where you're like, we're going to go take an adventure. We're going to go do this. Right.
By nature, I was ready to go on to the next thing. I knew I wanted to be a professional speaker, and I had opportunities, and it was like, go. And then I thought, wait a minute, we sat as a family, and kids, what do you guys want to do? They didn't hesitate. They knew our do it. You can dream for so long. Sometimes you just got to go, and we were just so thankful we did, and it's just been absolutely epic, and we're still at it. So 3 months came and went, as you can imagine.
Right.
And
and you guys are still at it. Like, it's 2019 as we record this. You guys started off in 2015. The original, that was one of my questions, was like, when you thought about this, was it just, a short period of time? So obviously you've kept going, and the kids have continued to grow, all that. So how old were the kids when you left in 2015?
Yeah, my youngest, I guess he would have been 11. And so now they're all, in November, it'll be 4 years.
Yeah.
And so, after the 3 months, I asked the kids, and my wife and I said, do you guys want to keep going? You enjoying yourself? We said, we're willing to keep going. And they said, oh man, there's so much more to see. We're just enjoying this so much. Let's keep going. So we did. And so we went to every state. We didn't drive it in Hawaii, but we drove to every state, including Alaska. We did every province in Canada.
Wow.
And really got to know our own backyard first. We thought that was important for kids to learn. You can travel to other countries, but we're sitting in the best place on earth, and why not explore that fully? And so we did, and then we started going abroad a little bit. And my daughter came up to us with this crazy idea. She said, I'd love to go to New Zealand. And we knew nothing about it. And we said, well, why don't you go create a PowerPoint and spend some time putting that together and learn all about it, and then come back and sell the family on the idea. And so she did that. And sure enough, we packed up our Jeep, shipped it over there, and spent 6 months on the beaches and in the mountains, and just having some really incredible experiences.
I bet. So I love the story. And again, watching your videos are just a blast. So I just really recommend everybody go check it out. Epic Family Road Trip on YouTube. What would you say, what are some of the things that you've learned about family with this trip?
Yeah. I mean, it's all of a sudden, we lived in a big house, and all of a sudden we're now squished into this tiny vehicle.
Yeah.
When we went down to the Jeep only, we have a rooftop tent. We tow an adventure trailer with a tent on it. You're down to even smaller quarters. And I think it's been just a great opportunity for communication. In the RV, in the motorhome, if you're at home, for instance, a big house, and I'm busy, I'm going to work, my wife's going to the gym, and the kids are going to school, and we have something we need to talk about, but we go, you know what, we'll talk about it later. We're all busy. And then it never comes up until it becomes an issue later. Or if the kids are teenagers and they get upset, they go to the room, slam the door, and they're on their own. Well, we said in the motorhome, if you slam the door, you're in the bathroom.
That's right. There's no place to hide here, people. That's right.
There is only one door, and you're sitting in the restroom, and that's probably not where you want to hang out.
That's great.
So you're almost forced to held up to your face 24/7. And that's been great, because as tough as that is, it forces you to really look at yourself and say, how can I be better in this situation? And it's just, we've just had so much fun. We've had such great conversations. sitting in off the grid somewhere in the middle of nowhere around a campfire. When we're in that moment, at least me, I just sit there and go, wow. I mean, my kids are teenagers and they still want to hang with us.
Right.
I just can enjoy every second of it while we can.
Exactly. There's a whole lot of families who give their, like a lot of dads who give their right arm to have 3 teenagers that actually want to be in that kind of confined space. You know, that's incredible. So I love it.
It's been amazing. It's
Yeah.
we're really appreciative of the opportunity for sure. And it's a short window we have with them. And so when the opportunity came, we said, you know what, they're onto their lives in a couple of years, and it's now or never. So we jumped on it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So what would you say as far as, you know, what are some other things that, you know, the road has taught you guys, especially to be on it for almost 4 years now? You know, what are some things that when you think about it and how that translates to people's lives, what are some of the takeaways for you so far?
Yeah, so I mean, we've learned to be flexible because you can't predict what's going to happen. You can set a course to a certain amount, but there's so many adjustments you need. You know, for instance, shipping our vehicle overseas, we didn't know they would run into a hurricane and be delayed by 30 days. So you're arriving in a foreign city expecting your vehicle, which is your home, to be there, and all of a sudden it's not. So flexibility, adaptability on the fly is one of the greatest values you can take with you. Another thing we've learned, and I learned that in business, we took it into the trip. In business, we knew that having a clear set of values really makes it a lot easier to chart a course in business. And so after the 3 months, we sat together and said, you guys want to keep going, but before we do, let's clarify what we're doing this for. Let's clarify our values. And we came up with 3 values. One, work, because work had helped me be successful in life, and I wanted our kids to have the same gift of a work ethic.
Yeah.
And so there was work to do on the road. They had to do school. Now, you know, they're their own motivator and teacher. They had to really work hard to get through school. And then they also worked at building a YouTube channel, things like that. They're now dealing with corporations repping their products, and they're learning all kinds of entrepreneurial skills. So the work was important.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The second value we took was play, because there's an epidemic in the world today of anxiety and stress. And we thought if we could just learn how to play, or remember how to play like we did when we were kids, expecting nothing but just play itself, then we'll probably be in better shape. And so we've been really good at playing, hiking, awesome, climbing mountains, surfing. Yeah. They've learned how to surf. They surfed in like 8 different oceans or 4 different oceans. They've learned how to do all these things on the road. So the play was really important. And then the final one we brought from business, which is care. So work, play, care. And care for us is an acronym which stands for create a remarkable experience. And so we said, as we travel, let's try to create a remarkable experience by leaving the people we meet and the places we visit a little better than we found them. And now all of a sudden there's direction for our trip. We're not just traveling around selfishly. I mean, that's great to do as a family. It's fun, and you learn and you expand your horizons. You learn about other cultures and people, but this gave us a deeper purpose and meaning. And so, if you're a family out there, or anyone in life and business and school, whatever situation, if you can get clarity on your values, it makes life a lot easier. It makes decision-making a lot easier.
That's so true. I love it. And I love that you created it together too. I mean, it's one of those things that would be easy. I mean, obviously with all your experience, you're also teaching organizations around the world, all that. It would be easy for you to say, all right, guys, these are our values, right? But that's not going to be something they own. And so to help them, invite them into that process is huge.
Yeah, that's something I learned over the years. I mean, when you give some authorship, you're going to get ownership, and just top-down driven initiatives. Here's what we're doing, or here's what we stand for. It's like, okay, but I'm not going to buy into it unless I feel like I contributed in some way.
Right.
So, yeah,
I love it.
That's crucially important.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how when you get clarity on what you're doing and what your values are, all of a sudden things start to align. I came across a great quote years ago by Walt Disney. He said, "When values are clear, decision making is easy." And so, in living on the road, you're faced with decisions all the time. If you're running a corporation, or you have your own business, or you work in any situation in life, you're going to be faced with decisions. And when values are clear, decision making becomes easy. You run them through the filter of your values, or by that
Yep.
compass of your values. And so we've had opportunities like that present itself all the time, and we make our decisions based on what's important to us.
That is awesome. So I've got to ask, what's one of your favorite stories so far from the road for you guys,
Man,
especially? Yeah, I'm sure there's
yeah,
a whole list of them, but what's one of one of your favorites?
yeah, one of my favorites. I mean, like, there are tons. When you get out there, it's amazing what comes to you in terms of experiences. But
Yeah.
we were in New Zealand, and the kids had set their goals on this place called Abel Tasman National Park. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. They had wanted to go there for so long. Took us a while to get in. It's a very popular place. We finally secured a location there. We set up the Jeep, the whole camp. Um, Literally, we got the place set up. We had prepaid for it and everything. And then they got a text from, they got several texts, one from family over here. And they said, "Hey, we're sitting here watching on national news, and there's apparently a whale stranding in New Zealand. It's one of their worst ever. A whole bunch of whales are stranded somewhere." And they asked us if we had heard about it. And we said, "No, I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. We're lucky we
Right.
even have a connection." But the kids said they started to Google it, and they found where it was. And it was we were on the South Island, and it was in a place called Farewell Spit. And it's one of the most remote places in New Zealand. And the people there that were saying they're desperate for volunteers to come up, and but don't come up here unless you're prepared, because there's no stores, there's no food or water source. But we're geared, like, we got the
I was
zombie
just gonna say
apocalypse Jeep going
that's
here.
your guy. That's you guys' life, right?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
So the kids just immediately, without even thinking about their dream of hiking through Abel Tasman and kayak, and they just started packing up. I didn't even have to ask them. They're packing up. They're saying, "We got to go." It's 4 hours drive through the windy mountains. And we packed up and we headed up there, and we got there just as the sun was going down. And there's a group called Project Jonah that handle these type of situations. And those folks said, "Thanks for coming up. There's nothing we can do right now at night, but if you guys set up camp, get a good night's sleep, well, we're going to have a debriefing at 5 a.m. So make sure you show up at 5 a.m. So we did that. We set up our camp right there on the beach, and 5 a.m. we got in there, and there's a group of volunteers, and they taught us about whale first aid, keep them cool, keep them calm, and keep them comfortable. And so it was a couple-mile walk out the beach to where the whales were, and we walked out there, and so all day the kids are putting sheets on them and pouring water on them to keep them cool, because their skin will blister in the sun.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And we're trying to roll them. They're multi-ton whales, and with many, as many people, we're trying to get them up so that their blowholes would be upright, because when the tide comes in, they can actually drown if they're not upright.
Oh,
So we
wow.
worked feverishly throughout the day until the tide started coming in. It comes in really fast there in that part of New Zealand, and all of a sudden it's coming in, and the whales are starting to really splash around now. And we had about 1 to 2 volunteers on each whale, and I was on this big male, and I was near the ocean, so I just started pushing as hard as I could, and I got him free, and he started to swim away, and everybody kind of cheered and said, "Yay, we've saved one of them." And then he turned around and he came right back in and beached himself. And just then, one of the Department of Conservation folks were coming by, and they said, I appreciate what you tried to do there, but these whales are so family oriented, so pod oriented, they will not swim away from each other." So
Wow.
he said, "What we're going to do is we're going to wait until the largest of the clan of the whole pod is able to swim. When the water's deep enough that the largest ones are up, then I'm going to give a loud command, and we're all going to push at the same time, and we're going to try to free them. If they go together, they'll go out." And so that's what we did. And we waited, and we kept them upright, and the water got deeper and deeper. And then I just heard the guy give this loud command to push. And all of a sudden we started to push, and they started swimming. And eventually they all swam into the bay. And so everybody then grabbed hands and formed a big human chain so they wouldn't come back in, because
Oh, yeah.
some of their mates had perished on shore already before they were discovered.
Wow.
And so we held hands, we stomped our feet, and we yelled and made noise, and they began to swim farther and farther out. And eventually they swam out to sea and never came back. So
And
that
you
was
guys
a
got to
pretty
do that
epic
as a
moment.
family. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that is
yeah,
incredible. It's one of the best stories ever. Holy.
yeah, yeah. It was
Wow.
unbelievable
Yeah.
experience for the kids. You know, you can read about things and watch them on a documentary, but they spent the whole day. My son was 12, and he was working on this one whale with a woman from France who happened to come up as well, and they couldn't communicate, but together they named the whale Up because that was their job all day, keeping her up. And
Yeah.
the water's getting up. He back then he was a bit shorter, and the water's getting to his waist and to his chest. And I said, "Hey, Dan, you better get back because you're going to end up swimming out of here." And he said,
Yeah.
"I'm not leaving Up until she's free, even if I have
Oh,
to swim
wow.
out." And he stuck it out, and so
That
yeah,
is
pretty incredible
incredible.
experience. But I think
Absolutely.
the key to that, I mean, what for us, you know, we say when values are clear, because we have that clear value. I believe of create a remarkable experience by trying to leave the people we meet and the places we visit a little better we found them.
Yeah.
The kids didn't even hesitate because that was why we were there, you know, and so off they went. And typically my experience has been that anytime you try to create a remarkable experience for someone else or something else, it always comes back to you in greater measure.
There's no
Sitting
doubt.
around the campfire that night, the kids are exhausted, but the conversation was just epic. And these are memories they'll never
Oh,
lose, never
yeah.
forget.
And you can see the resilience in those kids. They're grounded and they're resilient. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing. That's one of the beautiful things about the videos too, is to be able to kind of see that growth over time too. So that is awesome,
Yeah.
man. We're gonna have to have you back. I do want to have you come back and talk, engagement, all of that. But man, when I heard your story and when I've been watching the videos, I'm just like, God, we got to talk family, we got to talk Jeeps, all that. So that is awesome. I love it. I love it. So we always love to send people out. I know Dream Think Doers, they're inspired by stories like yours, and they're always thinking, all right, one, how do I apply it? What do I do? Where do I take it? But I always love to send them out with one last, what we call our wisdom of the week. That might be a thought, a quote, something else that guides you to keep you going. So what's that wisdom of the week that you'd want to send Dream Think Doers out with this week?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to boil it down to one, is there. I think I think it's important to, first of all, have a dream, no matter what chapter in life you're in. When I talk about my chapters of starting with a borrowed lawnmower. Those were the working years and just
Yeah.
slugging it out and just building. So whatever chapter you're in, have a dream in the back of your head and have it clearly articulated. Put it on a sticky note, stick it up somewhere where you can see it, and then just revisit it on a regular basis. If you're a family and you're working all the time, life's tough. But to be successful, you have to be gone a lot, sometimes more from your family than be with them. And so without a dream, you've got really nothing. The children have nothing to hang on to and say, why is mommy or daddy gone working all the time? Or why are they doing this? When you have that dream together, and it's not just your dream, it's their dream, it's our dream, that gives purpose and meaning to everything you're doing. So getting clarity on something like that, reviewing it on a regular basis really helps a lot.
Absolutely. Well, it helped you set a course, right? Like you couldn't do
Yeah.
it immediately. And I love your openness and transparency on that. Cause we do these events and get people dreaming. And I think sometimes, we always talk about like, give yourself the permission to dream out of season, right? Cause
Yeah.
like some of those dreams that come, they're not for this season, they're for that next season, or like you said, that next chapter. So
Yeah.
it's giving yourself that permission to say, hey, all right, what are some of your dreams for the here and now, but what might be for that next chapter, that next season, so that just because it's not for this season, not for this chapter, doesn't mean it's a bad goal or a bad dream.
Exactly.
It's just not quite yet. And
Not yet.
I love how you
But
gave yourself that permission.
yeah, yeah. But if you don't have it articulated, it'll never happen because
Yep.
things won't line up. So yeah, there's that. And if I could say one last thing, I would say
Of course.
never compare to someone else's chapter. You're in chapter
Yeah.
1. Don't compare to my chapter 8
Yeah.
or whatever, because it robs chapter 1 of its joy.
Yeah. It's so true.
You got to love chapter 1. I mean, chapter 8 will be there at some point, but man, just love where you are right now. Your
Yeah.
kids are so young that you get home from work and you're running around changing diapers. Man, that was a chapter.
Yeah.
Don't wish you're somewhere else, because that's amazing. And when you love that one, you'll move on to the next and you'll love
Yep.
that one too. So
That's a good word. That's double. Twice the wisdom of the week, my
there
friend.
you go.
I love it. So Peter, where can people best find you and the family?
For the family, yeah, YouTube, the Epic Family Road Trip. It's the same on Instagram. My daughter's does a lot of photography now of the travel. So Instagram, Epic Family Road Trip. I'm not as active on Instagram as I should be, but Peter Van Stralen, and my website, petervanstralen.com.
Awesome. We'll put all those resources with the podcast here with the episode. So I love it, man. Thanks so much for making the time, and keep that adventure going, man. It is truly epic in all the right ways.
All right, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.